All right, welcome back. In our last session, we discussed purple teaming and the importance of being able to really scale up this kind of testing, to scale up adversarial testing, red teaming. And we did mention several times Fortify. And this is really the engine that enable us and TELUS to run to that massive scale red teaming on our AI application. And this is what we want to show you in this next session. So I want to introduce you to two people who build that engine every day, Reilly and Sho. So Sho is the head of product for Fuel X Fortify, our GenAI safety platform at TELUS Digital. And Reilly is the customer success manager for Fortify, Fuel X automated red teaming tool that we discuss. And Sho, Reilly, welcome.
Thanks for having us.
So, can you tell me in plain terms what is Fortify, who is it built for, and how do you see it being used?
Yeah, so Fortify is meant for enterprises that either have or are deploying GenAI, either chatbots or agents. We really focused on sort of ease of use, which means that we're seeing a wide variety of users, from folks that are builders working on agentic systems, product managers, but also sort of GRC and security roles. So a wide range of users. Um, it's really the product. It's able to quickly assess where your AI safety posture really is. You talked a little bit about that already, but it's broad in its coverage, and it's also deep. It has a lot of volume that it can go through very quickly. So it's an efficient use case. So the the builders are starting to see like adoption sort of early in the process, which is really interesting because early on, maybe the posture around guardrails, prompts, etc., their systems aren't really in place, so it's easy to find broad base issues. And then we also see teams that are sort of centralized, sort of on the GRC and security side, and they're using it as a way to monitor and check throughout the process. So that's sort of yeah, where Fortify is fitting in. Actually, you fit in to sort of the hybrid, but like more on the centralized part of that. Can you tell me a bit about how Fortify fits into how you think about it from more of a central management perspective of AI safety?
Yes, absolutely. So, Fortify will help us to assess any potential vulnerabilities, areas of exploitation by adversaries, any issues that could be impacting our customers when using the tool or our brand more generally. And it participates to the risk assessment process in TELUS. So we know that this tool should require more guardrails, more mitigations of those issues that are uncovered by Fortify. And this is how it is informing our organization on what is ready or not, or maybe need a bit more of tuning before going on production.
Yeah, you mentioned a little bit kind of what to watch out for, and maybe Riley, we could actually bring up the product and maybe take a little bit of a walkthrough of some of the key points you brought up.
Yeah, Alex, tell me where you want us to go.
All right. So I did mention the ability of running different session types, so maybe we can start there. All right, so we can see that there's different sessions. Can you explain what is essential and comprehensive?
Yeah, so essential sessions are kind of getting a baseline. So, how are you doing right off the bat? This includes 45 out of our 139 attack objectives. More attack objectives to come. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. But you can see here the different categories that we have. So, what this does is randomly select 45 out of that 139. And you can see in here, for example, fraud, financial scams, and deceptive practices. 3 out of the 17 have been selected. You could also shuffle this, and we'll select 3 other random ones, but it's giving you a real baseline of how you're performing before you're diving in deeper into more comprehensive sessions.
Yes. So bringing it back what Michael mentioned previously, being able to run those quick scans early on in the development process when you have your MVP solution, I think this is very good to quickly find issues and pivot, changing maybe the architecture, changing models, not waiting for the full solution to be implemented to realize, oh, maybe this is not working, maybe I need more guardrails.
That's a great point, Alex. You want to kind of be testing early and often so that it can help influence where you're going with your tool.
Absolutely.
And then you wanted me to touch on the custom sessions? Oh, Sho.
Yeah, no, I would just say take a peek at the comprehensive, just how we can run the depth or the breadth rather as well. Yeah, Alex, when do you sort of think about when to run the breadth of attacks versus that quick check that you were talking about earlier?
I think once we're good with what we have, we did a couple of quick scans. We did a bit of manual testing. We do have good performances. I think that's where we want to run the comprehensive testing. And I believe we can add a code of conduct in Fortify for the tool to design attacks aimed directly at the requirements of the tool. And I think this is a good way to know is that production ready or not.
Well, that's a great point. Sho, do you want to talk a little bit about the code of conduct? I think that's really one of the key secret sauces of Fortify.
Yeah, for sure. So, Alex talked a little bit about this broad-based attack, but that you can, depending on what your target is, what your actual chatbot or agent that you're trying to build, there are some nuances that kind of go beyond the 139 attack objectives that we have. And so with what we call the code of conduct, you basically specify those intentions of your chatbot. And what we do is it generates additional tailored, customized attack objectives. When you do that, then we can run and generate new attacks that are specific to your code of conduct. The reason we can do that is because all of these, from essential to comprehensive, we're generating new and novel attacks every time you run these sessions. So it helps you prevent overfitting or using the same attack prompts in your guardrails or downstream systems. There's always variability in terms of the attacks that we're generating. So not only do we have very broad based set of attacks, every attack we generate is novel, and then we can repeat those attacks many times against targets, including customized attack objectives that are based on your code of conduct.
All right. Can we also see how we can schedule attacks? So post-production, we may want to rerun testing from time to time, or after we made some changes to the tool, to the model. So how can we do that?
Yeah, so here with our session times, you can either select to run that session now. You could schedule it for later. So maybe you want to run it in off hours, like run your test at 3 a.m. So that you don't have a bunch of customers on your tool while you're running testing. Or you could also have reoccurring. So you could run your test every Friday. You could run it every 2 weeks, whatever works best for you. You could have that end on a specific date. But yeah, you could do weekly, bi-weekly, Monday to Friday, whatever works best for you and your team.
All right. So my team, when we're doing purple teaming, we design novel attacks for certain use cases. And I think something that is very valuable in Fortify is the attack library, where we can input those attacks and just have the system running them for us, so we can really focus on building new attack strategies, the more cerebral work, and let the tool really run those tests for us.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you're able to take the bank of attacks that you want to retest and you can focus on the more novel creative process of red teaming, and you have that baseline that you can always rely on through repeats, both novel and exact prompts. So yeah, Alex, what are your sort of your favorite vulnerabilities? What kind of things were you able to find using a collection of techniques here and some of the tooling?
Yeah. Well, something that's coming to my mind is sometimes when we're doing manual testing, we think we did test for something, we didn't find any issues, we're good. But actually, because of the probabilistic nature of those AI models, sometimes rerunning the same prompts or very similar prompts will not lead to the same results. And actually, recently with Fortify, we found out that some encoding techniques, obfuscation techniques to do jailbreaking that we tested manually were still very able to jailbreak our system. And this is something that we found out with Fortify. And this is something I really like with Fortify. You can repeat the attack. You can run several times the very same attacks and have this kind of probabilistic understanding of what are the vulnerabilities of your system, how what if I run the same attack 10 times, will it happen 1, 2 times or systematically? So you really have a better understanding of the overall robustness, considering what are large language models.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a big challenge when you're testing, right? Because testing it once, you might get lucky and find where it adheres, or maybe you have to actually run it 5, 10. Brett, I think, mentioned maybe even up to 20 times to
Absolutely.
sometimes see. Yeah,
And this cannot scale up with manual testing. It's too time demanding, too much time, too much resources.
amazing. Okay. Um, I wanted to check if you had any thoughts around the benchmarking talk earlier that Milton and Brett were talking about. Uh, have you actually seen some of the Fortify features that we added? We have a little bit of a sneak peek here. We can now run the benchmark inside of Fortify. Take a peek?
So I haven't seen it, but looking forward.
Yeah. So that benchmark that we had presented, we've got the entire benchmark included in Fortify. So once you set it up with any of your existing or new targets, you'll be able to run and compare that benchmark with the results that you saw directly in all the charts from earlier today. Um, I sort of yeah, maybe yeah, so you can trigger it really quickly like Reilly just showed you, and then once you dive into a specific result, you can see how you stack up. I like to think this is for builders to kind of understand. I'm using these different types of models that Milton and Brett talked a lot about in the insights. And now that I've built it into a system, how do I stack up against the baseline model or some of the other options I would have had? How do you sort of think you might be able to take advantage of some of this?
Yes, actually, there's many teams in TELUS that are looking at what models could best fit their application. And when deciding on which model, I think this is a feature that could be very interesting to guide them. And furthermore, maybe to, a bigger, more powerful model will not bring more value than a smaller open source model. So I think this is something that could be very helpful for many of our teams developing applications.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how, as you build out your system, if you've improved things or maybe even opened up um, some additional areas of risk compared to peer models or the exact model that you were using. Yeah. Anything else, Alex, that you might be interested in seeing built into the product? I know we've been working closely and love to see a lot of the ways you've been deploying this. So, Yeah.
Yes, so Riley mentioned new attack objectives. So this is something I would like to see. Um, so as you know, AI safety is a very fast evolving field. So how can we add new objective? How can we make sure that we're testing for all those new issues that are coming to us?
Yeah, always pushing for more broad-based coverage. Yeah, we do update our models in terms of attacks and what objectives we have pretty regularly. We did one in Q4, um, and then we have a new set coming out this quarter, which you should be seeing increased number of attack objectives in addition to new attack kind of methods. So you'll see some new categories in this quarter. So we're excited to get that over and retest some of your bots that you've already taken a peek at.
Yeah, with this new release, Alex, we expanded from roughly 6,900 attack scenarios to 56,000. So it's a huge amount that we've grown, and it's going to. We used to be more of like breadth, but now we're actually going deeper into a lot of these attack objectives. So our goal is to really get to the serious stuff.
Excellent. Yes, this is exactly what we need to make sure that our tools stays robust over time. We with this technology, we cannot just say it's done, we're good. We always need to keep testing and try new attacks.
Very cool. Um, all right. Well, Alex, thank you again for how you've been sharing this at working at TELUS and your purple teaming. It's exciting to see how you guys are deploying it and scaling it. Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks for the chat. See you guys on the next one.
thank you.